It was early in the morning for Louise. As she awoke from her sleep from the night before, as she looked out into the window of her dorm room and down below into the open square, she could see someone just sitting in a meditative state. It was Damien. The sword that she had recently brought him was seated in front of him. He didn't make a move. He stood completely still. But then in an instant, the sword came from the ground, lifted into his hands as he swung it with an elegance and grace that was truly refined. In terms of being a warrior, the boy truly had the spirit of one. The way that he was able to move with the sword as if it were second nature, as if it was what he was raised to do. Although, for Louise, she knew better than to even doubt him on that. Because after all, this was what he was raised to do. It's what he was always known for. Today was the day of the Familiar exhibition. And for today in particular, there was going to be a special main event. It was decided by the higher-ups that 3 familiars would do battle in front of the spectating crowd. The familiars of Princess Henrietta, Louise, and Siesta. The reason being was that this was an unprecedented time. These 3 familiars were not ordinary. Their skills were going to be put on display for the world to see. And there was a little bit of healthy wagering and competition, everyone placing their bets on who was going to win. Of course, Damien wasn't the only one who was preparing for this battle. No, Tai Fam, the Green Lantern, was also preparing as well, as he took time to meditate also, and so did Saito. Despite their youth and their mischievous natures, when it came down to training and staying focused, that was something all 3 boys could do in spades. And as such, as the crowds gathered together to the arena, the princess arriving in her carriage and the other nobility filing in, as before the main event, they were going to have the exhibition of the display for the other familiars, respectively. Everyone was just going to show off what they could do, like tricks and things of that nature. Of course, for Damien, it felt odd that out of everyone else, they were the only 3 that were going to fight, but at the same time, it made sense. All the same, though, Louise was a bit worried. Sure, Damien was definitely impressive, but still, the other boys had, well, power behind them. Like true power. Power to do things that weren't ordinary. However, all the same, he wasn't too worried about it. In the end of the day, the only thing that mattered was gaining the victory, and he knew that he had what it took to do that. He had seen his father deal with superpowered beings before, and you could say that the apple didn't fall too far from the tree in that regard. One by one, everyone would show off their familiars, showing off their skills, their capabilities, and other tricks. There was merriment, music, and games, and all sorts of festive things. The girls would be with their respective familiars, each one giving them a pep talk before the upcoming battle. Henrietta looking to Saito with a kind and warm smile. "I know you'll do amazing out there, Saito. I'm rooting for you." Saito couldn't help but smile. After all, the princess was so darn cute. He looked back to the others with a serious expression. Even if he didn't say anything, his eyes told the full story. She's cute. I'm gonna kick both their asses." Siesta would look to Tai as he opened the pocket dimension that carried his lantern, watching as he said the oath and charged the ring. After returning it, she turned to him with a smile. "You happy, Siesta?" "Of course. I'm happy that I actually get an opportunity like this. I don't really care about you winning the competition or anything like that. I just want you to be safe out there and do your best." She's so kind and caring. Ty would think to himself. She's always so giving, so loyal. It only makes me want to do my best even more. I'm going to win this. If I do, it'll add more to her name and give her more credence and respect. I can pull this off. And then finally there was Louise and Damien, as Damien laced up his boots and took a Delflinger to his side. Don't get yourself killed, alright? No need to worry. I don't plan on dying. This is just a friendly little bout, nothing more. I'm serious. Those other two, they're pretty strong. And what, you don't think I am? I know you are, it's just... Aw, is my master actually worried about me and my safety? As if. I just don't want you to embarrass me, that's all. Louise would turn in a huff as Damien made his way out to the arena. Do your best. No problem. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the familiar exhibition main event spectacle. Here in attendance, the Princess of Tristan, Princess Henrietta. Now, the three participants in particular. First, representing student Siesta, he is known as Tai Pham, the Green Lantern. Next, representing Her Highness, the Princess, he is Saito Higara, the Blue Beetle. And finally, representing Luis Del Villadare, he is known as Damian Wayne, Robin the Boy Wonder. What the? Boy Wonder? Damian looked up to the crowd to see Luis giving the thumbs up. All he said was that the first Robin was called Boy Wonder. He didn't want to be labeled with that whatever. Seems like she's got a lot of hope in you, Saito would say to Damien. Boy Wonder. Laugh it up. I wonder how embarrassed you're going to be when you go back to your princess with your tail tucked between your legs. Or, better yet, how about all your little beetle arms? It's only going to take one arm to break you, kid. No offense, Damien, Ty would say, but you don't even have powers. It's not going to take very much to take you out of this. Then me and Saito can go for first. Or I got a better idea, Damien would say. I can take my rightful place at first, and you two can fight for second and third. My money's on Saito to take third. What was that, you little runt? If the boot fits. If you want to go so badly, then let's go. Saito would activate his Blue Beetle armor. Tai stood at the ready with his lantern ring up, and Damien drew his sword. The crowd was roaring and cheering as the battle was set to take place. Turning his left arm into a cannon, Saito would point it towards Damien, shooting a blast straight at him, only for Tai to come in with a green construct, that of a rock-like fist, aimed directly at Saito's face. Saito was able to take the brunt of the attack, only for Damien to come swooping in with his sword, Tai dodging before creating a green sword of his own, matching blades with Damien. Saito would turn his right arm into an extended blade and come in for a slash as well, the crowd watching as they entered into a three-way sword deadlock. Damien was able to assess the other two opponents. When it came to Saito, he was more of a hack and slash kind of guy. He had some technique, probably due to his Japanese background. Kendo, maybe? That probably made the most sense. But even still, that was the simplest of sword fighting skills, and it wasn't anything he couldn't overcome. That was demonstrated quickly, as after a few flurries, he was able to kick him away, before turning his attention to Tai. Tai had a good mastery to himself. His sword skills were a lot more refined, But even still, he had only been a Green Lantern for over a year. How much of that was Green Lantern training or just personal growth? Damian knew he was the better swordsman, however, all the same, he would have to stay on the lookout as there was another strike coming from Saito. Saito sending a shockwave that ended up hitting him in the back before the Green Lantern and the Blue Beetle would collide. Damian would take out a few batarangs and throw them at the two, creating a smoke screen and hiding within the mist, looking to make a counterstrike. However, Saito would use his wings to flap away at the dust, kicking it away and taking out Damian's cover. Once his spot was revealed, Tai would use the ring to create another construct, a bubble of sorts to keep Damian locked in. Holding him in place, Damian felt as though he didn't have a way out. But this was the son of Batman we're talking about, so his pouch was created for such an occasion. He would then take out from his utility belt a packet that looked like golden dust. Damian, of course, was confused. The gold dust was inside of the dome, but yet the dome didn't dissipate. Damian's whole figure became hidden in the golden dust. What's going on? Let me guess. In your world, Green Lanterns have a yellow affinity problem, don't they? Yeah, we stopped having that problem a long time ago. You might want to come up with something else. Damian didn't say anything. There was no movement. The dome inside of the bubble was just filled with yellow. Oh God, did he use a poison? You don't think he... Tai would let go of the construct, the gold dust dissipating into the air. The boys would quickly rush into it. As they did so, Saito would use his wings to flap away at the golden dust, hopefully trying to get it away from Damian. As soon as they were able to get good vision of what they saw, it was Damian lying on his back, and he looked like he was out of it. There was an immediate worry that fell over the other two. Sure, this exhibition was supposed to be in good fun, but still, it wasn't supposed to be. But then, that's when he got him. In an instant, Damian would open his hand and throw something in Ty's face. It was like black sludge or whatever it was. It obscured his eyesight and vision. I can't see! I can't see! No! Get off! Get off! The more Ty continued to struggle, the more his vision became more and more worsened, until eventually all he saw was complete black. He couldn't see anything. He was blind. He was actually blinded. And what was worse, he had no way of getting it off. That was something Damian had gotten from his father. It was a black sludge that you could throw on someone's face. He had the disinvolving agent, the chemical that could be used to take it off. However, that was a good counter to Green Lanterns, and the reason was very simple. The longer it stood on Ty's face, the more and more Ty's blindness would increase until he was completely blind. And a Green Lantern's ring is fueled by one's own willpower. If you believe something long enough, you can will it into existence. For Ty, the longer he went on in darkness and in blindness, the more he would continue to feel like he was actually blind. The ring would pick up on that feeling, and it would only amplify what he felt. As such, Ty actually did reduce himself to being completely blind. And as for Saito, Damian had a couple of shockwave batarangs, which might not affect him all that much, but the Scarab was a different story. Damian would then raise his kick up, looking to aim another attack of his own. Eventually, though, almost as if through sheer will, Ty managed to pry just enough of the goo off to open up one of his eyes and get vision, thus restoring him to power. He went aiming towards Damian, knocking him straight into the wall. Saito had just barely managed to get control of the Scarab once more, before jumping back and looking to get revenge on Damien as well. That was definitely a cheap trick. The two boys were going in for simultaneous strikes, as Damien would raise his sword, blocking the two of them back. A large explosion would occur, knocking all three of them in different directions. Of course, Damien was more surprised that Ty managed to pry most of that goo off through sheer willpower. You know, I had the chemical agent to take that stuff off. I don't need it. Well, someone's motivated, I see. Well, yeah, no offense, but you act like an arrogant dick sometimes. Like I haven't heard that before. Well, what can I say? I'm confident in my abilities. That overconfidence is gonna get you killed one of these days. Yeah, well, until that happens, it's whatever. I'm thinking about ending this. How about you all? The three boys would raise themselves up, the crowd roaring with anticipation, as all three would lead the charge into the center of the arena. There was a great collision, multiple explosions of sorts, and eventually, it resulted in all three boys being down for the count. But what exactly happened in this exchange? Well, Damien knew that in a full-on collision, he wasn't going to get the better of the other two. But he knew enough about physiology to know the best places to strike. Damien would hit Ty using the blunt end of his blade. He knocked him right in the kidney. That was the best way for a knockout strike. However, Ty was looking to aim a strike on Saito, and thus Saito ended up catching a right hook clean to the face, with the ring encasing a powerful glove around his fist. Saito had his sights on Damien, and as such, he took the blunt end of his blade and knocked it square in the back of his head. Long story short, the boys weren't trying to kill each other, but they were trying to go for the quickest knockout. As a result, they all went falling over. All the same, it ended in a draw, but even still, it was impressive nonetheless to see what they were capable of. Truly impressive familiars, to say the least. However, while the people were being entertained by the great battle of the familiars, there was someone else who was making moves of their own. A hooded figure, one that went by the name of Fauquet the Thief, had struck at the school's treasure vault and stole a very precious artifact known as the Staff of Destruction. Shortly after the events of the familiar exhibition, Osman, Christian Academy's headmaster, would bring in some of the students and staff to tell them of what had happened. After discovering the theft that had taken place, there was worry that this could fall back on Princess Henrietta. After all, while she was only a princess, something of this magnitude happening under her watch could give her a bad reputation. And as such, to avoid such a fate, they wanted to get to the bottom of things and recover the staff before it was too late. A search team would be made of Louise, Damien, along with Saito and Tai, who were being sent on the behalf of Henrietta and Siesta, along with Kershay and Tabitha. The students and familiars alike would be led by Osman's secretary, Miss Longville. However, before leaving, Damien would speak with Saito and Tai in private. He had his own suspicions, and as such, he had his own plans set into motion. They would all follow Miss Longville as they made their way through the respective forests of Tristan, before eventually arriving to a small cabin, which was believed to be a hideout of Fauquet the Thief. If the Staff of Destruction was anywhere, it would have to be there. Tai decided that they should all go inside of the hideout, and thus agreeing to this, all of the students and respective familiars would make their way inside of the cabin. Miss Longville, however, believed that she could do better if she continued checking through the forest area. With everyone inside of the cabin, they quickly found the Staff of Destruction. However, as the earth and ground would shake around them, multiple giant earth golems would make their way as they would smash down on the cabin below. Miss Longville standing in the shadows, letting down her hair and taking off her glasses, as she was actually Fawquet the thief. Using her earthen magic, she created the multiple golems to smash the cabin on the inside, killing all that were in there. Such a shame that such young lives had to be ended the way that they were, but all the same, it was her natural role, the way things were meant to play out. And, even more so, those boys had some impressive artifacts on them. That boy with the utility belt, that boy with the ring. Maybe they could be of some use to her. She could pick through the rubble and find it herself. That was way too easy, Fawquet would say. Yeah, I know. I mean, you'd have to be complete idiots to fall for a trap like that. I know, right? Yes, I know. Damien would flatter at Fawquet, and Fawquet was happy that someone agreed with her. Wait a minute. Damien? I saw... Yeah, I know, right? Pretty crazy what a Green Lantern ring can do. Isn't that right, Ty? I know, right? Ty came from flying up above, holding his lantern ring. You... Oh, made fake constructs that went inside and we watched you crush them all? Yeah, that's exactly what I did. But how did you... It's pretty simple. All of this Fawquet the thief nonsense was going on while I was studying in the library. I had listened to your conversations with the headmaster. Although it felt a little suspicious, I decided to just let things play by ear. Also, you probably don't notice, but there's a tracker in your cloak, so I've been keeping tabs on you the whole time. And when I trace back the history on my communicator device, it shows that you were the last one in the treasury. But why didn't you? Oh, we just needed you to get us back to the staff, that's all. Don't worry, we'll be taking it off your hands now. Fawquet, seeing as how she was cornered, would decide to send the golems attacking at the kids. That led the three young heroes into action. Damien, Ty, and Saito respectively. The Blue Beetle flying into the air, using his double cannon arms to shoot back against the golems. Ty, using his lantern ring, would create a large construct golem of his own to battle against the earth golem. And as for Damien, he used his sword to slash away at the legs and arms of the respective golems. Although in the midst of things, Louise would end up getting caught in the crossfire. Thankfully, though, Damien would roll over, pushing her out of the way in time. But as he got a closer look at the Staff of Destruction, he saw what it truly was. Opening the case, his hunch was correct, and after loading in the payload, he launched it up into the air, using the Staff of Destruction to blast off the head of the golem. Because this was no Staff of Destruction, no magic wand or artifact of that kind. No, this was no Staff of Destruction. It was an M72 rocket launcher. And somehow Damien knew that. But even more so, the fact that he knew how to use such a weapon. Granted, it was more primitive than the things he was used to, but even still, the fact that he could just pick it up and use it instantly, that was a rare feat, even for him. Fawquet would attempt to escape, however, Ty would have her captured easily, and after having her knocked out, she would be returned where she would be locked away into the Tristan prison cell. Of course, the students would be thanked for their efforts, and they would be rewarded, although sadly the familiars would not receive such credit. Although for them, they didn't need that. Right now, they needed answers. While the girls and the princess would take their leave, the three boys stood in the office with Headmaster Osmond and Professor Colbert. I see. So you wish to ask about the Staff of Destruction, Headmaster Osmond would say. This isn't just any staff. It's a rocket launcher. It comes from, well, our world, respectively. Your worlds? Well, each of us comes from a different world that's pretty similar. This is something that's common amongst us. We're not sure which world it came from. Do you know how it got here? I would say it was about 30 years ago. I was wandering through the forest when a dragon appeared. I had attempted to fight it off, but still it managed to overpower me. I feared for my life, but then a strangely dressed individual arrived. He used that Staff of Destruction, one of them, to defeat the creature. He was gravely wounded. He told me his name was Sergeant Rock. Wait, the Sergeant Rock? All three boys would say in unison. You know him? He was a famed U.S. soldier from the Vietnam War. Wait, Damien would turn to the other two. There's a Sergeant Rock in your world, right? Yeah, although he died and was buried a long time ago, Tai would say. And Saito concurred the same. And Damien knew that the Sergeant Rock in his world had died also. So, no Sergeant Rock disappeared in any of our worlds. What are you getting at? Osmond would say. Well, there was a Sergeant Rock in each of our worlds, but he never disappeared. So you're saying that this Sergeant Rock, Colbert would chime in, he came from yet another world? A different one from all three of yours? Yes. This is peculiar. Look, I don't know what's going on, but there's something about this world that's different from all of ours. I don't know what type of magic you're using or how things work, but somehow you're pulling beings and objects from other worlds here. Like it's a nexus point. A nexus point? Yeah, this world is a nexus point of sorts. It has to be. I mean, think about it. All three of us come from different worlds, similar but different. And then Sergeant Rock. We all have one, but we've never lost one in our timeline. And yet, here is the grave of one. Whatever this place is, whatever it holds, it's pulling everything that we know here. What else do you think is going to come? Or what's already been? This only left the boys with more questions than answers. Because for now, they still had no idea. Just what was this world? And what was driving them here? Later on that night, a ball would be held. The girls would be held in high esteem for their efforts in defeating Farquet the thief. The boys were allowed to attend as well, and they were even given proper suits for the occasion. They all stood in the back of the ballroom, of course, while the girls were showered with adulation and praise. Even Siesta was given credit based on Ty's behalf in capturing the thief. And for that, he was happy. To see people actually being nice to her, to see her status starting to change. For that, he was grateful. However, as the music started to play and people started to pair off, much to the boys' surprise, the girls all approached him. Henrietta took Saito, Siesta took Tai, and finally Louise offered her hand to Damien. And Damien took it back in kind. So, you're even good at ballroom dancing. I guess there's nothing you can't do, huh? I get that a lot. But Honestly, I'm not even trying all that much. I can't say I'm much of a dancer, but once I've seen something done enough times, I'm able to pick up on it pretty easily. So, a jack of all trades and master of more. Truly an amazing familiar you are. Also, do you want to go back? To your world? Do you want to go back? I mean, I do. My family's there, my friends. Although, honestly, I'm not really sure. I mean, it's complicated. How's it complicated? Well, I didn't grow up like most ordinary people. Understatement of the year. I'm serious. Honestly, I'm not sure where I'm supposed to go or what I'm supposed to do. Just when I thought I had everything figured out, I ended up coming here. And I feel like I'm learning more about myself all over again. Well, I think you're amazing for what it's worth. And whatever you decide to do, I'm sure that things will work out. Thanks. I appreciate it. They would continue to dance the night away. As for Damien, for this day and for everything he had gained, there were still more questions than answers. What truly was this world? What made it the way that it did? Was he ever going to find a way home? And even more so, if he did find a way, did he really want to leave? For now, all Damien could do was stay the course. At the very least, he had to continue to try to figure out how to get him and the others back home. But at least for tonight, he wouldn't worry about that. Tonight, he would dance away and enjoy the little things. This concludes Familiar of Zero, Tales of the Robin. What If Robin Was Louise's Familiar? Season 1, Part 3. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we continue Familiar of Zero, Tales of the Robin. What If Robin Was Louise's Familiar? Season 1, Part 4. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.